Sparky Coach Lounge Room Pod featuring the Ford Lord again. Round 3, still kind of signing off some purchase orders in the background, approving. So, how are you, Fordy?
Mate, just had a hand delivered. Oh no, it's not bad, mate. It's not bad.
What?
First time. It's his first time using the coffee machine for a long black, and it's pretty good.
This is what like you press a button and it's pretty good. Is that what? Or what's
Nah,
what?
barista quality, mate. It's a proper machine.
Really
Yeah, I got the
amazing.
little. Yeah, it's good. Practicing
What
for things.
So it's 1:50 p.m. That's late for coffee. I wouldn't do a coffee after 2. No, sorry, after like 10 probably for me. So this is late. Or this is all right for you.
Oh, it settles the ADHD. It's good. It's good for it. Fine.
So crazy. All right.
Doesn't affect.
Nice, that's perfect. And
Flashing out.
now, Forty, what job are you excited about at the moment? Like, what's going on? Shores Hotel, how's that going?
Getting there. I think meant to be handover this week. Probably not realistic, but rolling into the final weeks there, which is good. So we'll drop down crew. It's all come together. We started commissioning all the automation control 4 system in there. So been automating and getting all that going. Got all the heaters running on it and stuff the other day as well, which is cool. That one's good. We've got a couple other ones that we don't know too much about yet because we're just taking over, which is interesting. But yeah, a couple of good projects with that. One's a good like a childcare center, which is we're sort of getting stuck into that now, which is cool. Half done, but that's probably a whole nother podcast in itself talking about that sort of stuff. But yeah, we've got a heap of stuff going on, heap of stuff coming up. A few new builders on board, which is cool as well. So working with some new people, just trying to, broaden the horizons and get some more people on board, which is good. And we've got all the guys are going well, good solid crew. So can't complain at the moment.
So good. What's the Shores like? Talk us through like rough size, not like in dollar value job, like it's a pub and in Ballina, sort of getting it what's the word? Reinstated back in the community. Like what is it? Is it 2 level, 3 level, 1 level?
It's an old like heritage. But that's where it's been pretty hard because it's actually got an adjoined heritage like house next to it, I guess, which is part of it. It's probably it'd be the biggest pub in Ballina, and just neglected over the years. We've done the work there for probably since we started New Age. I think we rolled straight into doing the maintenance there, and so we've stuck there for the last few owners, and then stayed on with the new owners that have owned it for the last couple of years, and they've always had the plans of doing a big reno, and we never knew to what scale. But yeah, it went full ball. So full gut and strip of the whole pub back to bare bones. So with full rewire, which obviously is ideal for a pub because as you know, if you're not doing that, it's would be a drama. But yeah, like full on. So they've gone. It's really cool. Yeah, it's good. It'd be the biggest pub reno we've done. So no, it's good to I'm keen to like finally get it out once we can share a bit more about it. It's I think it's looking pretty white, burly pav style for Ballina. So see how that goes with the locals. But I think everyone's worried beer prices are going to go up to $15 schooners like the Beachy or $18, whatever they are now. So I think that's what the local crew was worried about. But I think they've got a real good chef coming as well. I know the chef. He's a legend. We worked at another pub where he worked as well. He's a good guy, and they've got him as the head chef. So the food's like they're going for elite food level as well. So it should be pretty good.
So good. Shout out to the Brunswick Hotel who just got the 3 Blue Ducks on board maybe a couple months ago. That's the best. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good when you can like actually get away from just a crusty old palmy.
Yeah.
Having a bit fancier.
Overfried and overpriced. That's for sure. Cool, man. That's amazing. And what that's a quoted one. You were saying, hey, the shorts.
Yeah, quoted a lot of variations as well. Like it was a kind of it was semi design and construct, I guess. Like we had to work pretty closely. We designed all the boards, all the underground layouts, the automation system, kind of worked off the base level of an RCP lighting plan and some power and sort of adapted from there. ended up rolling into working with the AV contractor that they brought up from Sydney. We did all their cabling and stuff as well, and wired all that for them, and did all the racks for them and everything. So that was good. And out of that as well, it's actually been good because we've made a good relationship with that AV contractor that wants us to roll into some more work with them, and they got a few projects around up and down the coast that they want us to jump on board with, which is good. So
It's
probably
so
another good
good.
thing as well to say, like, never stray away from doing that with other companies and like getting involved with that, because if you do something well, like it can lead to heaps of work. And if you're just running cables for like a company like that, it's easy work, it's good work, and if you're already there, like, kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I used to love the pub work. It was my favorite style of work. If it was quoted or cost plus, I think quoted pubs are easy when it's predictable and open. Most pubs, I think I'll have to post something on Insta. I think I put it on a story the other week, but there's just cables everywhere. It looks a bit like the Matrix Goodwill Hunting. The ceiling actually collapsed under the weight of these cables, which sounds psycho until you've been in a pub
Pub
that's
roof.
like 80 years old and everyone's like running everything. But the relationships with the security contractors, the programmers, like the 5 or 6 major relationships can be formed. And usually the best thing about pubs is they require consistent ongoing work after you finish the job, but pub owners know pub owners, and so that publican world is actually quite small when you get into it. And and it's, they want to trust there's certain people, and I just think that's the coolest and best kind of work. No beers at lunch. That was the rule. No
You
one's
get to
ever.
have a beer at the end, so it's good. Like,
Yeah,
you can
yeah, yeah, yeah.
celebrate, like, where you can celebrate a job where you can have a feed and a beer at the end of it on the site. It's pretty cool. So
Yeah,
keep it
I
at
don't.
that. No lunchtime beers.
I think I had a rule with the pubs who worked out no beers ever. Like that was sort of my rule. Is I just didn't want anyone making a fool of themselves under any circumstances. Because it's like you're
Outside of
always
work.
representing the brand. Yeah, even after work. I think that was,
Yeah.
but we're also fortunate enough to, that wasn't most people's local area. Like a lot of pubs were in the city. So it wasn't like I was taking away their local hotel, which would be difficult for you
So,
maybe.
yeah, well, we had a point where I reckon we were doing the work at every single pub in Byron and Ballina at one point. Like,
That's,
majority. Like, we had majority of all the maintenance. It was definitely way too much. Like, trying to, because the call out spec, and I don't think the guys really liked it, because that was like call out every weekend to one of those pubs, and then, so that's sort of where it got a bit hectic. We still look after a few of them now, and it's good because once you, like, that's how you get yourself in for doing the bigger work as well. So, like, sifting through the shit for a few years to wait till they do a major reno, and you got yourself in the front seat for that.
yeah, that's so good. So just we're going to talk about staffing today, and maintaining good relationships with current and staff, and staff that have maybe passed through your business, and knowing that not everyone's going to stay at your business for 30 or 40 years, but it should be your goal that should be the goal. And I think I want to touch on that. But back to what we were going to talk about last pod, finding sort of work, I guess you'd say. And finding work, such an interesting topic. And I don't want to spend like heaps time on this, but generally speaking, you go from hustling everyone at the start to like friends and family, and taking all your opportunities, to hopefully 7 to 15 years down the track picking and choosing your clients. And when someone calls you, it's like, hey, who's this? How'd you get my number? Be a bit more selective because you've got the reputation. But talk to us about, I guess, like go through maybe just the 3 clients for Cam, for you, for Fordy, and for myself, the 3 best clients. How'd you meet them?
You go, Cam.
Yeah, our best maintenance client met through my father-in-law's, like, an ex surf club mate, and they had like an old boys day, and they all came back to kick-ons, and I was there just like chilling out, having a quiet day, and then, like, obviously a rowdy crowd comes in, and they're all like, "What are you doing?" Blah blah blah, and then one of the guys, Mark, that obviously had a couple, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, Sparky, that sort of stuff. He's like, "I'll call you on Monday," and to his word, he called me on Monday. Like, don't know how he remembered that, but yeah, so got that through family. So yeah, picked up some maintenance of some high rise buildings. He was building manager, and he was a building manager and builder. So he didn't build anymore, but he just managed buildings. The other one, through radiology, like through medical, that was literally just a phone call. I still to this day, the thing I know the proximity, like location wise, so I'm assuming just online, and that got us the gig of the whole fit out, and then in turn, so we're still maintaining it, and other areas. So that's 5 years ago now. Which is on, and it's constant. Like there's always maintenance within medical, and there's the compliance side of it to begin with. And then a couple of our builders are just through BNI. So I was in a BNI for a while and picked up relationships that particular way. So they're probably the cult that is BNI.
Yeah, and how's that BNI tattoo going for you? Is it still hurt or
faded?
Yes.
Faded away.
So good.
No, like I think there was a time and place for it. If I'm being perfectly honest, really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think it's.
I don't know what that is.
You
don't know what it is? Yeah, it's a business network meeting. I guess like they allow one of everyone, so one Sparky, one accountant, one IT company,
anything,
like whatever, and you get together. It's super culty. I think it's getting more culty. And there's probably some spin-offs, but it's funny enough because I went there. We've done a really funny podcast on this actually way back, maybe a year ago. So just search BNI and it'll come up under Sparky Coach. But I met one of my best clients there. So this guy run an IT company, and it's so interesting because they had 4 to 6 staff at that point, and I did some work at their house, which is usually how it sort of started.
Yeah.
And then did some work. He was super stoked, and then he was like, "Do you want to come to this?" And once they trust you, they sort of let you into the network. And I think reference that to yourself. Like if someone comes to me, I'm not gonna open up my network to anyone. It's like I'll pass you on if I trust you and I know you're good. Until that point, you will sort of hang at the curb, Destiny's Child style. But I remember he let us in, and then I underestimated, which probably with you guys too, how much companies grow. So you might meet a builder, meet an IT company, meet someone at 4 or 5 staff, and then in 5 years' time, they've got 20, 25 staff, and all these opportunities have opened, and you grow with them. So I met those guys, did some work for them, and it was kind of really cool. Surrey Hills, open office space work, and they had 500 clients or something like that. And then so he opened up the doors for me to go into their offices and do some stuff, and that was super cool. And then they ended up getting the student accommodation, which became our client in the end, and that was insane work. But that was through a BNI. The next one, I got 4. I wrote 4 down, but one of the other ones I got back from Europe with zero money. And I was, and my best mate, like my childhood best mate, needed this work done in his gyms he was running. And I was like, sweet, I'll go and just help him out. Did a couple of 12-hour days. And I was talking to the builder that was working there, just touching base. And because there was a builder on the whole sort of commercial place, and my mate just rented out like one of the units.
Right, yeah.
And went there doing some electrical work, and he kind of saw what I was doing, and he was like, do you want to come quote something? Long story short, that ended up being the builder we did all the pubs for. So from a volunteer job, so back from Europe with 74 peso in the account to like such a sick relationship, a long-term relationship. One of the other ones, a commercial client, once again, same time frame, like back from Europe, $0, putting in huge days. Met this guy just sort of when I was subcontracting. Turned out we got along really well, and he chipped us in. And then and the other client, I want to touch on this because this is like that almost trade god, spiritual electrical god. I remember like driving back through the airport tunnel and thinking, I should call this person. And I was subcontracting to my old boss who was aircon only, and like solely aircon. They did not touch electrical. And I was like, I should ask those guys if they need a electrician. This building site we're on, I got along well. And this is the importance of like breaking bread with people, with sitting down, eating smoko with the builders or commercial clients or whatever. Like if you have a chance to have food with someone, you should. I think if they break twice, you break twice. If they break once, you break once. I was massive on that as a business owner. But I remember like having lunch with this guy, and he surfed and I surfed, and we were chatting, and he went to like down the South Coast a lot. I went down the South Coast a lot. So we got along really well. And I remember driving through the airport tunnel, and I had that sort of gut feel. You get those gut feel, that intuition. I was like, you should call, his name was Brett. You should call Brett. So I called Brett and I was like, "Oh, hey, it's Crowy. Like we had lunch together a couple of weeks ago. Like, remember we were talking about surfing or whatever?" And he was like, "Oh," and it turns out I had called on the day of that their old the electrician. They were sort of in between electricians, and I sort of knew that. And the guy drilled through. He's drilled these holes in this wine cellar. I'm talking this client was worth like $1 billion, right? Or maybe 800 million, close to $1 billion at that time, probably $1 billion now. And this electrician at the point had drilled all these holes in this wine cellar to run some cables, dusted up this guy's private collection. So this is Bellevue Hill, Point Piper, just dust machine. And so I called on that day. And he was like, "Yeah, sweet, we'll give you a shot next week." So if I didn't call that day, I might have missed out on that opportunity to get in. So taking opportunities, but I was kind of wanting to bring it up because I think if you ask 100 people how they found their best clients, there's probably 50 to 80 different answers. So the coolest thing, what about you, Fordy? How did you meet your best clients?
I guess if we're talking, like we obviously have some long-standing maintenance contracts, some with pubs, some with, I guess, just like even insurance as well. So like those, but like some of the like I guess bigger financial clients that we've held. Like one's a builder that came across from my existing. I did his work for an existing employer. Once we started, it was kind of like they came across, which we had the chat at the start that I didn't want to be pricing against them because it wasn't. I didn't think it was ethical, I guess, at the time. Like, and they pretty much said that they're going to be using someone else, then they weren't happy, especially if we had left because I was running all his projects at the time. And yeah, that's one of the builder that we do the biggest work for to this day. And like we do for everyone, we'll go above and beyond for them, and we have a really good relationship with them. They know that, and like there's never an issue, there's never a problem. If there is, we always solve it. So, um, and yeah, I guess that was just always upholding a relationship, and I guess just being honest. And I never went to anyone from that side of things. And I guess we'll get into that sort of chat later on of what happened. But another builder is someone that we've grown with from one of the when we first started. I think it happened. I ended up going to this project as a call out to fix something for the property owner. And when I was there, there was a bit of dodgy stuff done. It was a recently done renovation. I knew who the builder was because he was a friend through us, like a very, I guess, he's one of Jared's good friends. So, and we didn't do his work at the time, and I kind of went there, and there was a couple things, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to call this builder and let him know, like this is pretty bad. So I called him up, and he just said, "Oh, can you just tell the Sparky?" And I was like, "Oh, righto." So I've called this Sparky up that did the work and just like in a nice way. And he actually just said, "I'll come out there and show me." And there's things like the ovens weren't on RCBOs and stuff like that, like a couple of other dodgy things. And then I think from that, it kind of gave us the start of a relationship where he was like, "Well, these guys know what they're doing stuff right." And then got us on board to start pricing work. And now, yeah, obviously we do a lot of work for him, and we've grown with him, going from like doing one project a year to doing 3 or 4 massive projects a year, which is good. And then I guess we're always sort of running a bigger commercial project, whether it's one or two at the same time. And I get like right now it's the Shoresy. So that's obviously a long-standing client that how we got, and we've done the maintenance there. So how we got on with them was the owner before that owned another pub in town, and our old employer did the work there. They stuffed something up pretty bad and called us up and got us into. I think one of Jared's housemates was actually working there at the time behind the bar and said, "Just call these guys." And then that's when we came in, fixed it all. And they go, "Oh, we're actually buying the Shoresy as well." So then we got in there and took over there. And then yeah, just been able to hold a long-standing relationship with them to do the maintenance. And we've always said with those, like if there's ever an issue, like call us, we'll be there. And that's what we do. We make sure we get someone there. We've never left them hanging. I've been there countless times. If it's not one of the guys, if they can't get there, I'll go there myself. It's 9, 10 o'clock at night when the pub's full and the power's gone out, and we go there and restore power or do what we got to do. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all I can think of.
Appreciate it. Yeah, dead set. We've been there some times where it's been pretty wild like that as well. So, but no, I think that's it. Sort of those three, probably some of
Yeah.
the best ones that we've got. Yeah, for sure. And it's same goes. There's some other builders that we work with like on the similar level that are good that we've had from the since they started their business. Another guy that's just growing now. It's so good to see him growing into doing this. He's probably going to be doing his biggest project he's ever done this year, and we're on board with that. And we started with him from his first small little project that he did, like a little renovation, and now he's going into a multi-million-dollar house up in the hinterland, which we'll be working on. So it's good to like grow with these guys, and so good.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think don't despise small beginnings for if you're out there, and making sure you're sitting down and eating with people. The apprentices you're working with, whether it's a plumbing apprentice or an aircon apprentice or a Sparky apprentice, or like they might be your future staff members, future clients. So you just don't know. Leave every door open. So I guess that's kind of leading into our point of I want to ask what you guys do for what do you think the keys to retaining clients are? Because that's going to lead us straight into what do you think the keys to retaining staff are and holding those long-term relationships. But like retention of anything is incredibly important. Retention of clients, like it's all good to go and hustle, get new work, but not to forget about the existing people that you have in your sort of vicinity, in your world, in your hand at this point. As they say, a bird in the hand beats two in the bush every day of the week. Sometimes you can chase new work, or sometimes you can be incredibly responsive or responsible with new clients. So a new client touches base and you're like, oh, I get the quote out to you and I'm really good to work with. But, you're forgetting about the people that have been on your side for 5 or 10 years. So what do you guys think the keys to retaining long-term clients are? What's some of the first things that come to mind when you go, okay, yeah, I've had that client for 10 years. Like what is it about
Like,
that?
I think first thing that comes to mind is the servicing side of it. So, and that's all encompassing. It's quite broad, but I think put simply, it's about not forgetting them in the sense of like that they should be front of mind and serve. So when they call, that you have a reasonable reaction time. When they communicate something, you communicate back to them because they've already like you've built the relationship. They like you. They prefer using you. They trust you. And I reckon it's almost human nature in a little bit of a way. It's a bit like an old friendship in a way, that you can take it for granted sometimes and neglect the relationship as such and be like, oh, look, we'll get that to them in 3 or 4 weeks, or we'll get to them in a month. Like they'll be fine with it all. And it usually is fine for a while. And then eventually I think it starts to wear a little bit thin. So I think we're all, have all good intentions and noble as such at the beginning, and you can really service the shit out of people. Generally speaking, particularly when it's yourself or just a smaller team, because you're extremely motivated. You're probably generally not juggling so many big plates in the air, so to speak. So it's a little bit more manageable. But then as you continue to develop and grow and move, you get more and more removed from the coalface a little bit, and you're putting your trust in other people who may or may not be doing it to the standard that you want it to be. They might not, and this is the thing. We'll go into a little bit more staff conversation later. Is sometimes they just don't know as well. So it's like there's a lot of assumption passed over with the knowledge to be like, oh, they'll be right. They know that, and really in turn they're sort of cooking it a little bit for you, simmering away, and then you only hear about it when there's the catastrophe, as opposed to. And I know Crow and I have talked about it heaps around like, why do I only hear about it now? And it's like, well, there were little tiny flags along the way, but you were so, I guess, consumed with other things that you missed them. So I think servicing, communicating too with your clients, long term ones. I I don't think it can be underrated how important just a phone call or a drop in is every now and then. I think I would probably encourage everyone to build it within their week, fortnight, month, whatever their rotations look like or their schedule looks like. If you can just allocate some time to touching base with your regular and your main clients. It could be a drop in on site, it could be a phone call, could be something like that. Just get yourself front of mind again, but also to be genuinely interested. To, hey, what's been going on around the place? What's been happening? If you know how their family is, or you know their partner, like just see what's going on. And I think I'll never forget my old boss. Whenever we were a bit light on work, it was like, Cam, I need you to go see person A, B, C, D, E. I'm going to go see person, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we divide and conquer. And there was no agenda, like as in it wasn't, you need to go ask them these questions. Can you just go see these guys, see how they're going, what's going on? And you'd go there and you'd end up with all this work. It's like, oh, hey, while you're here, Cam, can we just go for a walk around? And then you're walking around and it's sort of like Oprah, like, you got to, it's like that light's out, that that hot water system's broken, and you just keep, oh, we're doing it, we're dropping a new donger in over here, and things like that, or hey, that
Like,
gate
why
access
didn't
isn't
you
working.
call this in?
Yeah,
And then,
yeah, and then it's like, oh, I knew about one of these things, one of the a lot of high rises when you look after, it's like, oh, they know there's a couple of lights out in the basement, but it's like, let's walk the whole building. And the next thing, you've got 25 light fittings that need to be repaired. So I think that communication and service side of it is that you're actually creating the work for yourself through effort. And I think sometimes, and I reckon I'll put my hand up and say I've been guilty of it throughout my time, is that the effort disappears because you're like, oh, you get busy doing other things and focusing on different areas. And you're like, oh, they'll just ring me when they need me. When in fact, it's like, well, you're the expert. They actually need you as well in that
yeah,
sense. So they need your expertise and experience because they're like, I don't really know how to explain it. So when, Cam or Fordy or Crowley turn up next, I'll just explain it to them then. And then you never turn up, so they don't get the chance to explain it to you. So they're probably the two key things that spring to mind for me, the service and communication side of it.
Yeah,
yeah,
huge. 40?
yeah. I reckon just like not like neglecting, I guess, and like I reckon a big thing is when you get comfortable, especially with builders, I guess you maybe slack on getting quotes back and things like that, and knowing that if you are the preferred electrician, then you're normally not priced against, maybe that's something that people would slack on, and then try, hold out a week or 2 or 3, and then they're coming to you and going, can you do this? Can you do this? And you getting followed up, just making sure that you uphold like what you probably did at the start, trying to carry it through. If at the start you would turn around a quote in 2 days to a week, trying to uphold that through the whole time. Sometimes it's obviously not possible, but like making sure that you're giving the same level of service throughout, and it's not changing because you get busier and you get more builders. Because the way I look at it is everyone wants to be your top priority, right? It doesn't matter if they're a small guy doing a bathroom renovation or the big guy doing a $10 million house. Like everyone's expected to be treated the same and be, I guess, at the forefront of your mind. And so they should be, because at the end of the day, like, they are giving you work. So making sure that everyone is treated equally in that way and everyone gets the same respect and same attention from you, which is hard. But I think, if you see your phone ringing from a builder that gives you one job a year and you're going, oh God, like, I'm too busy, then, you probably shouldn't be doing their work, is what I reckon. So if you can uphold that, I think is a good tip. Making sure you treat everyone the same and uphold the same from the start with what you've obviously promised or delivered it when you first got that relationship moving.
It's so easy to say, isn't it? And then so hard to do when you get busy. I actually reckon one of the best references is to treat every client like you're quiet. When you're quiet and a quote comes in and your response is like high level. If you need a job for tomorrow or next week, or that you need to lock that job in for 2 months' time, I promise you'll be hyper attentive. Everyone is. It's like if you treated everyone, like you said, 40 the same, but treated every job like you were quiet, I think it changes everything, because it's like, I think the word busy is just an incredibly subjective term. Are you busy to 100 hours a week or 40 hours a week or 400 or 1,000? All are busy. If you don't have the staff capacity to service that amount of work, let's say you've got 10 staff at 400 hours a week that are billable, and you've got 500 hours worth of work, you're really busy. You're quite busy, but everyone can do a couple of hours of overtime and sort of make that up. But if you've got 400 hours of like billable resources, and 1,000 hours of work, you're incredibly busy. Or 200 hours of work, you're incredibly quiet. Where the person with 200 hours worth of work with 100 hours of capacity is incredibly busy. So it's like, busy is such a subjective word, but try and just always put yourself in the client's shoes. A client wants you essentially, as I don't know, I always think, I said this in the pod the other day, I can't remember where I said it, but I always was like, I never had a drama working for friends and family, because I was like, essentially the whole goal of the client or staff member will probably be like, they're going to be your friends and family eventually. I'm like, not talking about family, in-laws and stuff like that, but essentially the relationship you want to build with a client is one of trust. And any relationship where you sort of at it for 5 years or 10 years, there's a lot of trust there. There's a lot of communication. You've probably gone to the footy a couple of times, probably had a couple of beers at the Shoresy, or maybe somewhere you didn't work out. But there's that element of relationship that ties into it. And I feel like the better the relationship, the easier it is to have a bigger conversation. And if you want to retain long-term clients, you better get used to having some difficult conversations, whether it's about money, whether that's like, oh, I can't get to that job until Thursday, is that okay? Whether that's like, hey, I need to get to that job a week early because we've got to buy a week's time. You're going to have some pretty decent conversations both ways. You're going to have to tell them about trades that aren't cutting it. They're going to have to tell you about staff members or materials that aren't cutting it. You're both going to have to protect each other, ethically protect each other, which is a beautiful trait of a friendship, right? So that's super interesting to me. But when it comes to retaining long-term clients, I think what you guys said, communication, treating everyone the same, but like establishing that trust and establishing a friendship is so underrated. And I think like what builds trust? Turning up when you say you're going to turn up. Answering the phone. There's nothing worse than needing to talk to someone and they don't get back to you for 24 hours or 48 hours. Now, if you're growing the company, it doesn't have to be you. It can be someone else, as long as a representative is turning up, as long as a representative who is capable is turning up, who is capable is answering the phone, and so on and so on. No one's expecting your business to just remain you as top of the food chain for so long, but I would encourage you to make sure your product is incredibly good. Make sure you are having those difficult or hard conversations, and just making sure the invoice is matching what you said, or the quote is matching what you said, or the variations that are being completed are legit. Like if you just legit for 10 years, that's kind of all you got to do. Like if you're just honest, ethical, turn up, your product stays good. And I think gauging off everything, my whole theory with when I was reaching out to people cold or warm or whatever was just like, hey, someone's got to do their work. I'm trustworthy. I'm honest. I'm reliable. I'm going to use a good product. I'm going to be there in 3 years' time if the crap hits the fan. I'm going to be there on Sunday. Who better to do their work than me? That was sort of my theory. So yeah, I love that about retaining long-term clients, because I think the retention of staff and clients is such a huge part of running a business. Before we jump into staff, is there anything you guys want to add to the client side?
I was going to say, just on that same thing, is like another great thing to add to that is cost-effective solutions for clients as well. Like coming to the table with an idea that's going to help them save money always is what helps build trust. So someone comes to you with an idea and you're looking at it going, fuck, this is going to cost a bomb. Instead of going, yeah, let's go. Coming to them with options is what we always do. And it might end up being the more cost heavy thing that gets done. Like, it might end up being the thing that costs a fortune, but given those options always, I guess it makes them feel at ease, and that you actually, you're trying to help them, which we are. It's not a game. It's not a gimmick a sales tactic to try and get someone in. Like we genuinely want to help our clients. So like if we can come up with an idea that's going to save them money in some way, then we'll definitely do it. And I think that's something, don't look at every client as some big fish to milk Or does that make sense? Milk a fish.
I mean, milk and fish it's a far cry, but I get you. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Do fish have teats? Can we milk fish? Maybe cut that out. I don't know.
Is that
It's
what
definitely smuggling.
what movie is that? Or Meet the Fockers, where he's talking about milking cats? And he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, there you go. So you can't milk,
It's-
like, not every client is a cat that you can milk.
Mm.
I think like if like you got to be able to come to the table with some because that's what's going to end up being a long-term client. You know, the client that
Yeah,
you save
I think that
$1,000
lies
for
in
now, exactly. It's going to, you know, in the long run, lead to more work instead of milking the
100%.
cat.
That therein lies. Every opportunity should be looked at, I believe, in how can we make this client long term. So what do we need to do to create this opportunity so we can potentially work with this person long term?
and on that, sorry, I interrupted.
No, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, helping make 5-year decisions on things too. Like, you know, so trying to reflect if you get a call back and it's something, you've made a mistake or a materials, the downlight's failed or whatever. It's like you always got to look at through the 5-year lens. On the 5-hour lens, it's cost you 2 billable hours and a $60 light or $10 light or whatever. It's annoying, right? It's super frustrating. Yes, you can wait for the warranty person to come and do it, all this kind of stuff, but you're probably better off just going and doing it because in a 5-year plan, you're never going to regret going over and above on the service level. It's absolutely huge. If you can service your clients and service them well, and on that, that's probably the ultimate transition to staff is like trying to have 5-year like trying to have 5-year context to applying to everything. So it's like, I remember retaining staff is one of the best things you can do. And having a staff culture is a good staff culture is one of the best things to attract and retain staff. Now, it's incredibly difficult to have a good staff culture when it's you and your apprentice and the dog's the CEO, right? When you've got a really, really small team, it's just might not have the people to establish a culture. When you've got a team of 15 or 20, there is an element of culture. And culture is just the way things get done or the way things get done around here, whatever. So that can change. That's the coolest thing about culture. If you've got a poor or negative culture, that can turn around. Yes, it's going to take effort, some time, some hustle, but you can turn it around. It doesn't have to stay like it is. But I think, or if you've got a culture that's like just allows things, because culture is a little bit about what you do allow as what you don't allow. It's not just about like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It's also about what you walk past and don't say anything about. So culture is made in the times you walk past things when you should have said something. Classic example is the tradie turns up at 7:15 and you're just like, oh, cool, just go get to work in that bedroom. In the most PG related way possible, roughing it in, right? Like that's what we're doing. Pants optional? Nah, pants on. But like, you know, so you walk past that and everyone's watching. Everyone's like, well, okay, if he or she can turn up at 7:15, does that mean I can do that? So you got to create a culture where people want to be around. People, I would dare say, they like rules, and rules come from roles and responsibilities and outcomes, which is huge, which is why you're paying someone. But trying to have that sort of lens of like, you're not going to, if you have a 5-year plan for this guy that turns up or girl that turns up at 7:15, you're not going to fly off the handle. You're always late. What do you think you're doing to me? Ah! If you've got a 5-minute plan, you'll fly off the handle. A 5-year plan, you're a bit more reserved about how you go about it because you're working together as a company to get the best outcome for the client. So retention of staff, huge. Thoughts?
It's a big one.
I think like it. Okay, so I reckon when we were at maybe 5 staff, it was easy to start something, and then roll into 10, 15, 20 staff gets way harder because I think when we were at 5 staff, like we were pretty relaxed. It is like that drinking beers and having fun, and you're kind of hanging out all the time, and it's a bit more of a joke. And when you start getting bigger and more serious, it's harder to rein that culture in. And I think you can grow it to a level, but then people are gonna obviously break apart because, like, and I've spoken about before, where like when you change things within your business, people are gonna not accept that as much, and it might be time for them to move on. So them leaving isn't a bad thing. but having the people that want to stay on board, retaining them, like putting those things in place is hard because you've got to make sure as you grow that you obviously, we spoke about before, like doing the dodgy things that might be all right when you got two guys and bending the rules a bit doesn't cut it when you get bigger and there's a lot more money on the line, I guess. But
Hey,
yeah,
Fordy,
I think
on that, like you mentioned the 5 to 6 staff realm.
yeah.
Probably you're on the tools, or maybe not. You're a lot like available at that point as well. So you're probably seeing everyone a lot more, which is now you'll be seeing everyone a little bit less, just organically, I assume, by the
Yeah, I
amount of
reckon
stuff you've
when we
got.
were at that, I think everyone liked working with me because I'd be like, all right, we'll go get a coffee and then we'll go cruise over here. Like it was definitely a lot of that. Like it was a pretty relaxed time, I guess. Like we were busy and we had a lot of work, but it was like, oh, if you're working with 40, you're kind of cruising today. Like you're gonna be getting at least 6 coffees and that
2 p.m. We'll just have a coffee.
and
Now,
but like even just like work wise, like like obviously was putting myself on the better jobs and not the shitter jobs and there's no crawling roofs for me or anything like that. So
what
you,
advice would you give yourself now if you had to talk to you at 5 to 6 stuff?
if I'd even going back earlier, and I say to people now, I was like, whatever you need to make, you're saying 5, 10 year goal, whatever you think you want to be at, you need to start putting those things in place from day one. So if you know you want to be at 10, if you're thinking one day, oh, I want to have 10, 15, 20 staff, you need to be thinking that way now and starting to run your business in that way. There's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that when you're smaller. So getting things in place like all your official safety, I guess, whether it's swims or whatever you need to have in place. Like I'd guarantee if you talk to most one-man bands, they do not have any of that shit in place, right? All those policies around safety, like having that, bringing that in now. Contracts, employee contracts is huge. We never had that. Now we do. Um, getting on top of, I guess, practices of like how you do jobs and having a system in place with we have like job check sheets and things like that instead of just letting people roll with it, like bringing that in, anything that you can bring in and train people in early on that you think's going to help you further on, like trying to don't say, oh, wait till I get bigger till I do it. Like actually do it now, and then because then that's what people are going to grow with you from the start if you're doing things right, instead of like one day you drastically have this vision of like, oh, we got to do this now, we got to do this now, and try and change everything overnight, where it's never going to be able to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's about setting the standard from the get
Yeah,
go. So simply put, like say someone's a new hire, that yeah, there's a contract in place. There's hey, this is what you need to do. Fill this document out for your uniform, so to speak. Here's our policies and procedures. Can you just have a look through our swims? So setting the standard around where the company sits. This is what our expectations are. These are the expectations as the sort of clients that we work for as well. Even I know quite simply put, like just uniform as well. Hey, we've got a uniform, need to wear it. Behavior, confronting, like probably, I would say almost like a lot of the awkward that you feel like, oh, I don't want to be that guy who's like, hey, we don't swear on site sort of thing. And it's like, well, and it's not that we don't swear at all, like ever. It's that, hey, you don't get on site and start yahooing and carrying on so the neighbors can hear you and the music's like full tilt and things like that. So setting some professional expectations for people so that they know from the get-go, I think then portrays an element of organization, professionalism as well. And I would I truly believe that majority of really good people actually want to get behind that and want to be involved in that. And I think that is part of being attractive to potential staff members as well. So not only the work that you're doing, but how you carry yourself as a company as well. I think if you portray that image, like it means that, hey, like we do pay superannuation, like we do pay weekly, so to speak, or you get your overtime, if there's RDOs involved in that. Like, and I know we probably to an extent maybe downplay those things, but once you've been in the industry, like there's some horror stories that you hear out there of, oh, I haven't been paid my super or haven't been paid this. So that sense of professionalism, expertise, and for lack of a better word, like having your shit together in a way, it appeals to not only clients. I know that for a fact because perception is generally the reality out there in the marketplace. And then not only that, it can attract your staff or maybe be the sway in it all that so, oh, hey, that was really awesome. We came into an office, we sat down, there's a series of questions. Fordy made me 3 coffees in 45 minutes. It was amazing. And
Couldn't sign a contract. I was shaking.
yeah.
I want to, I can't.
I couldn't drive home. I had to get an Uber. So that sort of, I think that's really underplayed a lot, I think sometimes. And I think also too, we can sometimes come across as, I don't want to be that guy. Whereas probably internally it's what we're striving to achieve, but we don't want to be, I guess, belittled, or made fun of in the wider community of other tradies or other Sparkies, so to speak. But I think deep down, that is what a lot of people actually resonate with. It's not, I think personally, like, gone are the days of the cowboy contractor.
I think people want to come to work and feel safe, and they want to be knowing that they're in an environment where people do care about that. And I think, like, when we get someone new and we do an induction, we run them through how we do everything. Like, and one of our main things is obviously the lockout and those things, and making sure people do that. That's like a non-negotiable, obviously. And like getting that into someone's head that probably has come from somewhere where that's not huge. And other big things, testing. Like, I know so many people come from companies where like they're just bang testing, like just turning on, and just like, that's sweet. Well, that's what my my old boss did. So like ingraining someone into having a full testing regime where we like go through everything like strict is, people like that. And I get so many messages through Instagram of people like wanting to come and work for us because of that. Because like, oh, my boss doesn't do that. I wish they did. Or like, we've got the test board here, and it's like, I wish we had that at our company, and those things. And like, you're attracting people that actually want to be a part of something, which is good. Because if like, if someone doesn't care about that, then you don't want that person working for you. Someone might be the best Sparky, but like you want them to obviously want to be safe. You want them to do the right thing. You want them to be, I guess, have a passion, one, for the industry of what they're doing, and two, to be, passionate about that side of things as well. And like, because they're the people, especially when you get more people, they're going to be people that are teaching. You want to have it in your culture where they then pass that down to your other employees, because that's what they've learned from you. So I think the more you grow, like, and having that set up to put those things in early is huge.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I feel that a lot of the reasons that doesn't happen is because people are really busy when they hire. So generally people hire too late, especially as you go through. And I'm just flashing back to, like, I think the most important thing you can do is model by example. And if you are still on the tools or in that company of like 5 to 8, people are watching you. They're watching your standard. They're watching you go back to the van at 3:30, 4 o'clock to get that extra screw. Like, having those company standards is so important. But little things like paying on time. We used to have a rule, like every Monday, by Monday 9 a.m., everyone's paid from the week before. So our pay week was Monday to Sunday, I guess, if you're working a big switchboard over the weekend, or commercial work over the weekend, or whatever. But any subcontractor, anything was paid by Monday 9 o'clock. So if the invoice is in, paid. If not, wait till next week. All the staff knew that was happening. Obviously, this is just interesting to note. I think I paid super weekly because it was about like $2,500-3,000 a week. And I was like, I don't want that to build up. Like, I think it costs you a bit extra, but I'm like, let's just get rid of this because I don't know, it's not mine. But you can be obviously more organized in different ways. And that was born, I remember, and shout out to Mikey, my best apprentice ever. I remember he came on board. I was so busy on the tools. We had so much work on, and I didn't have an admin at that point. I think it took him 3 or 4 weeks to get paid something. Like, I remember going, oh, am I going to get paid? And I was like, yeah. And we was like, he was my mate's cousin. So I was like, I was organized, I was honest, No, sorry. I was honest, but I was disorganized. And that's just so embarrassing to look back on him. And if he listens to this, I think he works for Clipsal now, but like legend guy. And that was bad. Like no one wants to work at a company. I might remember the sickest company in the whole world, but if you're not paying, that's disappointing. So unfortunately for me, it took some things like that to create some sort of standards and boundaries around everything. But even when you get subcontractors on board, like it's so common for people not to pay subcontractor invoice for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. If someone sends you an invoice and you can pay it, I think you should just pay it. Think about how good it feels when someone pays an invoice on the spot for you. It's like the best thing ever, right? If you can model that behavior. But if you're still on site, you have such a great opportunity, right? You're modeling that we get here 15 minutes early. So if you're on time, you're late. Now that wants to become part of the company culture. When you're talking to a commercial client or a builder or you've got to operate by the 1 in 10 and 10 in 1 sort of philosophy. So that is, if you want to be important, if you think you're too important, you'll interrupt other people's time too much. Now, what I mean about that is if you're going to see a project manager, you might ask them one question, but 10 times. So you ask them, oh, what is this about 5 minutes later? Or what do you think about this 10 minutes later? Oh, so when we've got this cable gone across here, what should we do? 15 minutes later. Oh, the best employees and business owners ask 10 questions in the one time. You want to prioritize everyone else's time, but you need to teach your staff members that. So like you've got 10, build your questions up because otherwise you'll get so annoyed by your staff members contacting you like 10 different times for 10 different questions. You want them to bother you in one 10-minute or one 5-minute block with 10 questions. What do I do? How do I do? What about this? What do you think about this? Bang, you're out and they're on with their job, you're on with their job. So I think modeling from the outset and setting some boundaries. I know Cam and I think Fordy, you're probably the same. Like you guys would probably, would it be far-fetched to say you would die on a hill for Simpro? Would you guys would you run a business without Simpro or not? Like right now, yes or no?
No. No chance.
Okay, so Cam, that was massive for you, and even you knowing that you didn't need Simpro until probably I think ServiceMate will suffice. This is just, I'm going to blanket throw it out there from the clients that we see. ServiceMate will suffice from 2 to 4 people. I don't know anyone over 5 running a successful business that's not on Simpro, except for Tommy from Rylak, who's on Fergus, but that's a incredibly different business model when you're in that automation zone. I feel I'd love to get him on the pod and just break it down. But yeah, so setting that up, I know Cam for you was a huge thing because you didn't want to have to change. Talk us through that sort of process. You could have gotten cheaper, but you didn't.
Yeah, talked about it a few times. In other just Crowy probably more than anything, but I went through change at a previous company where we went from paper to a sort of hybrid system. And it took us like a year, I think, to get through it. There was a number, I'm going to say maybe a dozen staff or something like that at the time. And it was just a lot of work. And that program we went to, they actually are on Simpro now. So they have to do it twice. And I just remember thinking, I tried heaps of I tried Fergus, I did Tradeify. I didn't do ServiceMate because ServiceMate was iPhone only, and I am an Android diehard.
Makes me sick.
Yeah, all the other Android diehards out there. Open platform, you can do whatever you want. Thanks for coming.
5 of them.
Sorry?
All 5 of them.
Yeah.
They can't be many.
It's a niche market.
5,000. Anyway, so I was sort of I guess going back to what Fordy sort of touched on before, I didn't want to be by myself. I knew that. I probably didn't want to have 2 or 3 guys. I didn't want to have 40. I knew that either. I knew that also, sorry. So I knew that I needed something. And I was like, well, type of work that we're doing, let's do it once, let's do it easy. So I got it when it was just me still. We had plenty of work and a couple of subbies every now and then to help out. And then sort of literally we got it on board, and then I reckon within 6 months of having it, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 employees. So we got it in the middle. I can't remember the exact time of the year, but it was in the middle of the year, I think. And then by Christmas we had 4. I had 4 people on board. So if I didn't do that then, I would have been in a world of hurt. And it just, yeah, I love it. And I think again too, also it adds like a layer of, again, professionalism to your business, that you're not writing on the back of a ripped PowerPoint box the job notes from the day before, and then you're not sending timesheets through carrier pigeon and things like that. So
yeah, I think that professionalizing your business to be somewhere where people want to work is huge. Now, there's kind of having all the gear, which is fantastic, which I feel like it's just a non-negotiable. People should get paid on time. People should be safe going to work, coming home from work. People should be protected and cared for in contracts and pay and all that kind of stuff. Like, I think that should just be that should be industry standard. Now, let's talk about the staff relationships and kind of what we set out to talk about, retention of staff, but also when a staff member parts ways. Now, my head's going to Fast and the Furious 7, where Paul Walker, RIP, and Vin Diesel are driving, and then the road forks out, and there's that beautiful song playing. I used to have a group of mates we would go and see Fast and the Furious movies with. Like, that was our thing. And it's so funny because I think
right now, because I know what you're going to sing.
No, how does it go? When I see you again or something? It's something like that, whatever. It's a great song. But the Fast and Furious 4, Vin Diesel and The Rock, I think it's 4 or 5, they're tackling each other through walls. And it's psycho. It's like, where's the studs and nogs in these walls? Like, these guys are enormous, but they're not that big. You know what I mean? Crazy, it's just Jip Rock only. Anyway, we digress. Staff members are going to come and go. I remember, for me, like, you've got to have some element of perspective. If someone quits, they're usually quitting for a reason. So to start work for themselves, that's a reason. I quit after I finished my apprenticeship. Still got a great relationship with my old boss. I think I've said this multiple times. I could call him any time of the night and he would answer. It's just got a great relationship there. And that's testament to both sides and him as well. He could have gone like, get stuff, I put 4 years into you, you've done nothing for me. I actually reversed into a Jaguar third year apprentice. I reversed out of one of this lighting shop we used to work at, and the Jag was so long. And I remember just like backing into it. Anyway, whatever. I had to call him about that. That was a bad phone call. But I remember people quit with me. And if they quit to start their own business, my reflection was always like, could I have held them for a couple of years longer? Because, like, I think you want the person that's going to start their own business. You want someone, but you want them for as long as you possibly can, because they're probably incredibly motivated and really skilled. And if you can hold them for 6 or 8 years rather than 4 to 5 years, your business will be better off for that. And chances are they'll probably come back and subcontract to you. So pure, like, keeping the purity and in that relationship and not flying off the handle. I remember one staff member quit and he was going out on his own, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And he had actually got offered a job 2 years beforehand. And I was like, what are you getting paid there? And he told me, and I was like, okay, well, you're on this now, I'll give you more. But I had a good relationship with him that could have those conversations. I think that sort of speaks volumes. You have to be able to, if they get a pay rise or get offered a job somewhere else, you want them to come to you and be like, hey, I got offered this, can you match? That's what that's relationship you're hoping to build. So I kept him for an extra 2 years longer because we had a good relationship. And anyway, he went to do his own thing. It was a bit harder than what he thought. He ended up coming back to us. So that happened maybe 2 or 3 times. Subcontractors started out as subcontractors 2 days a week. Eventually wore them down 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. Hey, do you want a job? Yeah, sure. That's like a 2 in 10 kind of situation, but still happened. And I think when you're paying every single Monday, when you're sending them text messages on or on the schedule, hey, they know where they're at, you've got good work. Why wouldn't they want to work there? But the importance of when someone quits to maintain that excellent relationship, I think, is huge. I didn't have anyone take any clients. I was pretty adamant in our contract, although a contract, if you're listening, means absolutely nothing, will not hold up anywhere. Essentially, I think that's a testament to the relationships we had with our clients. Like, they weren't built upon one person, they were built upon the company relationship with that client, which I think you've got to protect that a little bit. you've really got to protect that. But I was fortunate enough to be like, hey, if you ever leave, this is in the contract. And I was like, hey, if you ever leave, these are our clients. You met them on our time. You wouldn't have met them without me. It's fair to say that this is not fair game. And they were all like, yeah. And I always reminded people of that when they sort of left. But essentially, if we weren't providing the service and the client had a direct relationship somewhere else, that could have quite easily gone the other way. So fortunate enough to sort of get around that. But what do you guys think in terms of staff and if they quit, or any other thoughts going on in your heads?
Yeah, I think the things that spring to mind is always, I think the easy thing to do is be like, oh, like stuff you sort of thing, or like it happens, it is what it is. I think also to should introspectively look at, okay, what could I have done different or better, and use it as like a learning situation as well. So, because you might have really good people leave, and you never find out the real full story until years down the track. For whatever reason, they might not feel 100% comfortable. Could be conflict with another person within the business or something like that you're not aware of, and they're just not comfortable about it. And the easy decision is for them to just part ways. But I think always introspectively look into and be like, hey, what can I learn from this? What can I do? Could I have done anything different? Could I have done anything better? It can take a long time though. Sometimes you might have to stumble a few times to figure out how you can make things better. I think also too, just having an actual realization and perspective of it happens as well. So I think if you look back, like I changed jobs multiple times, and the reason I did it was I wanted different experiences. So where I was at couldn't give me the experience of the work that I was after to do, so I had to go find it elsewhere. And I think, me personally, that's why I try and have a bit of a diverse range of work, and also to try and communicate with the guys with what they're interested in and what they like to do. Me personally, I actually wanted to know a lot about everything, so I chose to seek that out. To sort of seek out those experiences myself. So I think that can't be forgotten. I've seen a lot of people be like, I put 4 years into this person, I can't believe they left. And then like, well, what did you do when you finished your apprenticeship? Oh, well, I finished and left. And you're like, well, like, what are you talking about, mate? Like, he's just done exactly what you did. And it happens so much, like, because I think you get a bit selfish and think about it that particular way. So think introspectively, like, is there anything you can learn from or do better or change? And that's not to say there's always going to be an answer to it, but I think I look at that much like with clients similar. And I do just want to touch on the client side of things, is that there's a difference with how you know the client. So if you got the client through your staff member, to me, that's fair game. If they leave and they start their own business and that person starts working with them, I think that's okay personally, because it's like, well, without that person, they would have never ever come to you. Hopefully you have such a good relationship now with the client that, it's pretty rock steady, but also I'm well aware enough that, hey, if it came that particular way, it's a bit of a two-way street. That's just my personal opinion. Other people may think differently about it, but that's how I see that relationship there in that particular sense. And then also, I also then look at that in a sense of, and this probably goes back a little bit around your clients, but if staff leave or clients leave, I think it needs to be on you, not them, to place the level of blame. It's like, well, where did I drop the ball? Essentially, is what could I do wrong? And don't wallow in pity and anything like that, but just be like, how can I learn from this and what can we do better in the future? Because that's really important to learn from it.
So on that, it's a highlight. If you've had someone and they've gone their own way, you're always, like you said, always reflecting. If a client's gone with them, I think you've also got to reflect on that. Like, that happened under your watch, and maybe your product wasn't good enough, or maybe they were like, hey, I only wanted to work with Brett, and Brett was the key superstar. He was the only reason, or Betty was the only reason I had you sort of in here. So you can only reflect and be like, And I think a lot of the times the person on the other side gets stuck with something like, well, I'm not going to use these guys anyway, so can I come across to you? And it's incredibly difficult to reconcile ethically, because you can see both sides of the storm, like the both sides of the coin. Everyone has a side. And I think as leaders and business owners, we need to be able to see both sides of the coin. And when you see both sides of the coin, it gives you the whole story. It gives you the whole perspective, where you can be like, oh yeah, that happened, but hang on, that only happened because I let them to their own devices. I hadn't talked to that client for 4 years. Last time when Kathy Freeman ran the 400 was when I spoke to them, right? And she won gold. Amazing. Hadn't spoke to them since then. All the dealings have been with them for 15 years. Our product sucked without that one person that was here. Actually, in hindsight, I had a chance to keep that person and I blew it because I was a dickhead. So I think so much reflection can happen. And funny enough, like when everything's going well, it's easy not to reflect on anything, or it's easy to let the good clients down. And then when something happens negative, it'll tell you a lot more about where your business is actually at. So interestingly enough, like, yeah, I think it's important to see both sides. But Fordy, thoughts? I interrupted your.
Yeah, I think, well, like I'd say there'd only be a handful of people that I wouldn't pick up the phone and call, I guess, a friend that's worked for us. Like we do keep a pretty good relationship with everyone. I know one of the guys, we've lost probably one big client to someone that's gone out. Not many people have gone out on their own. A couple of guys have. Most of them that have gone out on their own are like still subcontracting to other people or back to us or whatever. One of the guys started his own company doing his own thing, took a client, a big client as well. And definitely we probably could have got pissed off about it, but it's just not, I don't know, like I was saying before, like our old employer still would hate us to this day for leaving, and we probably realistically took one major client that was going to leave anyway. And other than that, like it's been open field. Like if we've got someone, it's come from them leaving for another reason. We haven't poached anyone. We never went out of our way to poach anyone or anything like that. But the guy that has taken, I don't even like saying taken, because I just think like we lost. That's fine for us to say. Like we lost a client. We probably weren't providing the right service for them at the time. They come to our Christmas parties still. He comes to our mid-year parties still. Like we're still all mates. Like it's like you got to uphold that. And I've said that when we left our previous employer. Like anything bad, that I'll make sure when we do our business that we'll never run our company the same way and do those things. Like I'm never going to hold a grudge against someone that worked for us like that, because it's what's the point? It's just going to stress you out, make you feel shit. Why would you bother? There's no gain from that for you to be pissed off at someone in that way. So I think and the same thing with the other guys, like I was still like holding those relationships benefits you, because you might be able to lean on them to come back to you. The better you are in that sense as well. When someone leaves and you go, fuck you, get stuffed, that then opens opportunity for them to then feel like, oh, well, maybe they will poach your clients and not feel bad about it. And most of the time, if they're going to be able to do it, they're going to be doing it off cheaper price. They're going to come in and go, I can do it, and I can do it for this much cheaper. That's like if you're providing the service that's right for someone, and the only way you're going to lose a job is via them being cheaper. So, yeah, that's what I like. I will always try and strive to, unless someone's done something really wrong, which we've had a couple times. But other than that, like we hold a real good relationship with our past employees. We try and invite them back to Chrissy parties and the mid-year party that we do as well. And we all still live in the same town, so we're all still friends. And I think it's a good way to be if you can.
Yeah, small town living is different, isn't it? As well, like just a reference, not a big city. There's
Yeah, you're
such
probably going to bump into people a lot more. So like there is that side of it as well. Like you obviously don't want to shut people down in that way when you're going to be seeing them at the wholesaler, especially people that go on their own. Like you're still going to be like face to face with those people every now and again. So yeah, you don't want to have enemies out there, I'd say, if you can avoid it.
The coolest thing about small town. You have to hold a high standard.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing, because you can't just walk, and everyone knows everyone anyway. So interestingly enough, you know, when I talk about retaining staff, I think it doesn't get spoken enough. Um, how do you retain staff? Like it'd be pretty hard if you're running an excellent business that pays well, that has great work for great clients. I think it's going to be pretty hard for someone to go somewhere else and start their own thing. Now, reference this usually and this is why I think a lot of the coaching world is uncharted or untested at the moment, right? So there's a big thing on like, oh, you go to service work at mum and dad's houses and that's more profitable than working for a builder. And it's like, I fully get that. I get that. But show me a 35 or 40 or 45-year-old Sparky that wants to be putting 2 ceiling fans in and crawling through yellow insulation all week. Like you're not going to find one. Compare that to walking into like a high-end residential or commercial clean job with like a bit of a crew, so they're talking to people. Like a lot of the game people are playing is a 25 to 30-year-old person's game. Now, I have the wisdom, like Gandalf, to be 41, looking back on this, going like, this is psycho. Like to only do that kind of work, you're going to lose staff members to better companies doing better work. It's genuinely unsustainable. Yes, it has a time and a place, but I think like doing great work, whether that's commercial, high-end residential or industrial, in clean open spaces for a diversified bunch of clients, is going to give you a fantastic shot at retaining staff members. And if you can combine that with we pay on time, we pay well, we've got July party, Christmas party, you know, I think that is going to stand the test of time. In a world that wants a result tomorrow or within 6 to 12 months, I think you're better off playing a percentage game over a longer time. Now, reference the percentage game too to apprentices. So you kind of know in your head that 50% of apprentices will stay, like 2 in 4, if you took that realm, right? So you might get 3 in 4, but your chances are of 4 in 4 apprentices staying within 6 to 8 years is pretty low ball, right? One of those people, if you've chosen well, is going to start their own business. One might move interstate. One might move to Canada to be with a girl he met on some kind of online dating app. Or maybe they met in person. Like who knows what happens, but you don't know what the future holds. But the percentage play of keeping every single one of your staff members, especially apprentices, is pretty low ball. So the importance of raising people up through your system so they know your style, your communication, your clients, your work ethic, like what your company that they embody and represent your company is so unbelievably like underrated. So if you've got 2 apprentices right now, and you think you're on the fence about, you know, you've got, obviously you don't want to be out of balance, but the importance of like, if you've got a decent sized company, you want one in every single year because you know 1 or 2 of them are going to leave, and raise them up and push them through, that kind of stuff. But never, I would say never be unbalanced. The people that I measure on a calculator that have 2 apprentices per tradie, unless you're doing like a certain type of work, which is pretty rare to be doing it week in, week out, month in, month out, you are just burning your calculator, burning down the house Tom Jones style. But thoughts, what do you guys think about that type of work and that type of company retaining staff? Is that ringing a bell, or you're like, nah, shut up? Like what is it?
Yeah, I
I
reckon.
think it's extremely important.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to like what I said. The reason I changed and moved around a couple of times was because I wanted different experiences and different opportunities. Now, it's not to say that every company can actually offer them, because it's very rare that the scope of work that I was exposed to and got to do would be even able to do it. I would go as far to say it is extremely unlikely, almost impossible to be able to do that. But what I think is important, that people want to be challenged, people want to be excited, and I would say the vast majority of people, they actually enjoy working with other people, communicating. There are different types of people, and I think that's the one thing too to obviously identify too, is that what's the individual person's skill set. So I know plenty of guys who, like, their worst nightmare is being on a site all day, every single day. They much prefer the interactions with, Gemma, the receptionist, and Dicko, the body corporate building manager, and Smithy, the crusty old, engineer who just cruises around and opens up every door to everywhere on that plant and facility. And that's okay, because there's different people that get excited by different things. But I think by having different opportunities and a bit of diversity allows you to have a bit of difference within your team and allows people to grow and develop because, um, you know, with all due respect, there's only so many times that, you need to change over a PowerPoint or light switch before you know how to do it. And likewise on a number of fronts. And equally too, I can say that too, there's only so many times that you can rough in a house a certain way. But I think if you can get different types of projects with different systems, that might have some automation involved in it. It might be a larger style house, or it could be in a cool location. I think all these things come into play that can influence you around being able to retain some people because people just want to be excited to a point. They enjoy being challenged and learning new things as well. And I think if you get that workload, so you get a bit of a team as well, then people enjoy hanging out with the team that they come to work with. Because I think the other thing we got to remember is work takes up a massive percentage of your life. Like it takes up, generally speaking, you're there for 8 hours every single day, if not a little bit more. So it can take up, a good 40% of your day, with a bit of travel, obviously, to and from work. So I don't think it's a far stretch for anyone to have a reasonable expectation that they want to enjoy what they're doing. And I think that's probably the world we live in now too, is that we need to understand that. I think gone are the days where it's just like, oh, I'm just going to punch the paycheck and punch the time machine or whatever you call it, payslip, app, doc, whatever you're doing now, and then expect them to just hang around. I think people want a little bit more from life as well.
I reckon a big we get is always we might have to duck out as well after this, but the like when we get apprentices, we'll all that a heap that come from doing a solar like they're signed up with a solar company. There's heaps of them. So that's all they're doing every day, and we get so many like it's kind of it's like a whole nother thing, isn't it? Like talking about that of like whether that's fair or not, whether it's even legal to be able to just offer one thing and put someone through an electrical apprenticeship. But like I know like once you do that for 6 months, it's so you don't want to be doing that every day. And then we get a lot of people hit us up. That's why we'll try and cycle everyone through it at ours because it's a good thing to be able to do, but there's only so much time you can spend on a roof when you're seeing everyone else that works for your company roughing in nice houses and commercial work and stuff like that. So we try and cycle everyone through it. We don't, unless there's a solar specific, there's a couple of guys that work for us that are like solar specific, and we're not doing it every day. So they're still doing electrical as well, but like their majority on that. But then the apprentices will cycle through. So they do a bit, then they might do one this week and then not do it again for another month, which is they're getting when we're making sure the same thing with the commercial, making sure they get to go on a commercial job and they get to go on a house and they get to do a switchboard and all these things like when you pop I guess like put someone into something that they're good at and stick them there, like there's another surefire way of like losing someone possibly. So we always make sure we check in with people. We do like a staff like a review where we sit down with them and we talk to them and we make sure we get out of them what they want to be doing, where they feel that they're lacking and things like that. It's always good with the apprentices, and we sort of say, is there anywhere that you'd like to be trained more in? Is there anything that you feel like that you need to learn more? And most of them come back and will be like, oh, I want to know how to do more testing or this or that. So that's where then we make sure like, all right, well, we've got this job coming up. We'll put you on there for the commissioning of this project. And we try and maneuver people into where they feel that their shortages are. So that little thing there it also shows that you value them and that you care about them and that you obviously want the best for them. So making sure, I think that's a massive thing. Like talk to your staff and find out what they want to do. And if you can facilitate them to be able to do that, then do it. Like we've got a guy on hire at the moment from another company that they're a bit quiet. They do mostly industrial and switchboards. And now we've got their fourth year on Len for a bit and it's good for him. Like he's coming in and he's been on solar, he's been on residential. Now he's going on to commercial projects and he's bouncing around doing big undergrounds. And he's like, this is awesome. Like he's getting to see so much more stuff in the space of like the last 3 weeks. that he's probably seen his whole apprenticeship. So even doing that and so good from his employer to like know that and then be like, hey, can you get him some different styles of work and coming to us to do that? I think it's also awesome. If you do pigeonhole yourself into one part of the trade, maybe try and do your apprentice the solid of getting them somewhere else and getting them that that skill and time at another part of the industry.
Yeah, I
huge.
came through my aircon apprenticeship, but I did electrical, but I only did aircon on site basically, and I had no idea. I finished as an electrician, literally had to learn everything. But all right, 40. So we got to go. Final sign off from you. If you had one shot, one opportunity to wrap the pot up, what would you say?
Look after your staff, because that is obviously what helps you create a successful business. Without them, you're nothing, especially if you want to grow. Nurture them, care for them, give them a cuddle every now and again. If it's not too OH&S, what's it called? But
Sounds
just
risky.
make sure you just check in with them and just make sure like people are good. And if you can, and like that's on all levels, like whether it's out of work as well, try and check in and I think a good thing is trying to do check-ins with your staff every twice a year, see where they're at, and then check in with them again. That's also going to help to retain staff, because it shows that you care and you're going to be able to help them grow in places that they need it. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah, and we've got a really good template for that. So if anyone wants it, reach out and I'll send it over. It's like a little good example what to do on the check-in staff checkup. So thanks Ford Lord for hanging out. Thanks Cam, and thanks to myself. And we will see you guys soon. Peace.
Ciao.